FAA Acting Administrator Chris Rocheleau emphasized the agency's commitment to balancing innovation with safety during a keynote fireside chat at the AUVSI XPONENTIal conference, addressing critical updates on drone regulations, airspace modernization, and counter-UAS strategies. Rocheleau, a seasoned aviation leader who played a pivotal role in establishing the Transportation Security Administration (TSA) after the 9/11 attacks, highlighted progress on long-awaited rules for beyond visual line of sight (BVLOS) operations and outlined challenges in managing unauthorized drone activity. Rocheleau's leadership and regulatory vision. Rocheleau, an Air Force veteran with over 2 decades of FAA experience, returned to the agency in January 2025 as acting administrator amid a leadership transition. His career spans key roles in the FAA and aviation, including helping establish the TSA in 2002 as part of the federal response to the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Transition periods can be challenging, but I wanted to ensure continuity and momentum, he said, praising the FAA's workforce as resilient and deeply committed to the mission. BVLOS rule advances to final review stage. Rocheleau provided updates on the FAA's proposed BVLOS rule, a framework to enable scalable drone operations beyond pilot's direct sight, which reached the Office of Management and Budget (OMB) for final interagency review on May 14, 2025. This follows years of delays, including a missed congressional deadline in September 2024. Our team accelerated this process to avoid delays during the transition, he said, clarifying that the FAA will open the rule for public comment after the NPRM is formally published. The BVLOS NPRM represents a critical step toward unlocking applications like medical delivery and infrastructure inspection. While industry groups have long criticized regulatory stagnation, Rocheleau stressed that the FAA remains focused on clarity in rules to ensure innovation happens here, not overseas. Counter-UAS. A three-tiered challenge. Rocheleau addressed the need for changes in counter-UAS policy. Currently, the technology is strictly limited for use only by certain federal agencies. Stakeholders argue that counter-UAS technology should be available for law enforcement and those responsible for protecting critical infrastructure, such as airports or power plants. Rocheleau framed the issue by speaking of the need to separate counter-UAS detection capabilities from mitigation. Agencies generally define counter-UAS technology in terms of 3 layers. 1. Detection, identifying drone presence. Detection systems, which use radar, radio frequency scanners, or optical sensors, are increasingly deployed at airports and critical infrastructure. Rocheleau noted the FAA receives over 100 monthly reports of drones near airports, underscoring the need for broader adoption of detection tools. 2. Identification, determining intent. Once a drone is detected, operators must assess whether it poses a threat. This step remains technologically complex, as many consumer drones lack robust remote ID capabilities. 3. Mitigation, high-risk interventions. Mitigation, disabling or destroying drones, is heavily restricted under U.S. law due to risks of electromagnetic interference with manned aircraft. While federal agencies like the Department of Justice hold limited authorization, Rocheleau cautioned, mitigation carries unintended consequences. He emphasized that even targeted disruptions could affect nearby helicopters or air traffic control systems, necessitating strict controls. Rocheleau hinted at potential policy shifts to expand detection access while maintaining mitigation restrictions, stating, "We need to make sure CUAS efforts align with airspace safety priorities." Modernizing air traffic control for mixed fleets. Rocheleau called for urgent upgrades to the U.S. air traffic control system, which still relies on radar-based infrastructure from the 20th century. "We're building a system that supports today's airspace and tomorrow's," he said, referencing Secretary of Transportation Sean Duffy's support for modernization efforts. The rise of commercial space launches now 3 to 4 weekly and advanced air mobility (AAM) vehicles has compounded these challenges. Rocheleau emphasized that next-generation systems must integrate drones, air taxis, and traditional aircraft seamlessly. At crossroads for U.S. drone leadership, Rocheleau's remarks underscored the FAA's dual mandate, fostering innovation while safeguarding the world's most complex airspace. With BVLOS rules nearing completion and counter-UAS policies under scrutiny, the coming year will test the agency's ability to translate regulatory progress into real-world operational gains. As Rocheleau concluded, the technologies are here. Our job is to ensure they're deployed safely and that the U.S. remains the global leader in aviation.